Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the BizUp podcast. Today, we are joined by Elle-May Michael from in.cube8r as our special guest for this episode, and an exciting one. I'm a lover of art, and I like to think that I am creative in the field I am. So I'm really excited to talk to you, and especially, I guess, in the current state that we're in with COVID. And I put a call out asking for some business owners out there that had successfully pivoted their business during this time, maybe give some thought to other businesses that might be just out there going, oh, look, I can't do anything because of the lockdown, because of COVID. My business model relies on, people coming into a store or things like this. And you own two stores, and yet it looks like you're still operating and moving through COVID. And we'll talk a little bit more about how you sort of shifted it into that. But before we begin, I just want to say hello and thank you for joining
Hello.
us.
No, thank you for having me.
So I guess before we jump into sort of what you're doing now, maybe just give us a bit about your background leading up until the point of sort of looking after or taking over incubator. Like, what were you doing
Mhm.
before the store?
So I grew up in a small business family. My parents ran a Greek restaurant and a nightclub for the first kind of 15, 20 years of my life.
Like, were
So
they one in the same? Was it a restaurant then
uh,
turned into a
it was
nightclub?
like it morphed and changed. So my dad's a
Okay.
sound engineer. So, they started doing bazookia nights, and then it kind of turned into more, Australian country music type of people. And then, in the later days, it was like a hip hop club. So
Yeah.
it
Wow.
changed, as we did, I guess, and as different people came into our lives and so on. So community was always a really big part of my life. Like I grew up around so many people, like musicians and even just all the regular customers and people. It was a pretty big influential part of the small town that I grew up in, Katoomba in the Blue Mountains.
Oh, beautiful spot.
Um, yeah, it's gorgeous. And then, when I turned 18, I, of course, had to move to the city because you've either got to get away or you stay. That tends to be how it works.
Stay for life.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I started working in a charity fundraising call center, doing telemarketing. And over 10 years, after a year or two, I was brought into admin, and then I eventually ended up running the communications and marketing for the company. So I hadn't kind of studied anything at that time. I just kind of was trained, I guess, to do the role. And in my own time, I ended up doing a uni degree in communications. And on the side, I was doing markets and things for a friend who was a fashion designer. So she would send me all of her stuff, and I would go to conventions like Supernova and run events and things, which eventually kind of led me here because she knew of Incubator being for sale. And I was like, this is amazing. I want to move to Melbourne. That job, like that business is everything that I do, but like more colorful and more
Yeah.
exciting.
So I
um,
guess that opportunity presented itself. Was it just one store at the time?
yeah, so it was the shop in Fitzroy, and it was quite a different little thing at that time. The business model has kind of stayed, mostly the same. The core values have stayed the same throughout, but it was lots of stuff coming down from the ceiling, and it was dark pink, and it was a real like treasure trove kind of feel. Like was the old owner's personality was like clearly
Yeah.
shining through, and so yeah, it's taken a few years to get it to where I guess my personality was
Yeah,
shining through.
nice. So, when you were looking at, I guess, purchasing the business, financially, what was that? Was it a loan, combination of savings? Did you get some help with the family? How did you get into that position where you were able to purchase the business? Because I imagine it wasn't too cheap.
No, it was a massive mission. We were applying for bank loans, and I was first declined because they said I didn't have experience to do it, and I sent them a
To
letter
run a business?
just pardon, to run
To run
to
a
run
business,
this
yeah.
kind of business. Yeah, they said I didn't have the experience to do it, and so they didn't want to back it. And I sent them a letter saying, this is ridiculous. You haven't even looked at my resume. You haven't called any of my references. You know nothing about me. And, I basically convinced them to look at it
Oh,
again.
nice. Yeah.
And because it did really annoy me. I was 28 and, probably seem, I speak in a bubbly way and, probably didn't seem like I knew what I was doing, but I
Yeah.
was like, I've been training for this my whole life, man. Like I've been working since I was 7 years old. I know how to run a small business, clearly.
Yes.
um, so yeah, that made up half of the purchase price, and then we had bought a little studio a couple of years before in Sydney, and we kind of sold it at just the right time. So we were able to put all of that equity for the other 50%.
Yeah, nice. So
Um,
you were obviously pretty confident in the business model and the business. Like how much when the opportunity first came, like your friends like, hey, they're selling this business, could be a really cool opportunity. How much research did you do into the store? Did you like tear through all their financials and see their revenue, and you tore it inside out? You thought, okay, what could I do? How can I make like how in depth was that research before you made the decision to put in an offer to purchase?
yeah, probably not thorough enough,
Yeah,
but
never enough
uh,
though. But
yeah, but I guess you don't know what you don't know. You don't know the questions to ask that you don't know. But what I really looked at was the goodwill that the business had. I knew that it had been running for 9 years. I knew that there was a lot of existing clients that had been with the business for many, many years. And I could see from the marketing, like I had so many ideas of how to actually grow it. There was no Instagram at that stage. The website, it was a couple of years old. It was out of date, and I make websites and things. So I just felt that kind of. I mean, I looked at the profit and loss and all of those kinds of things. I could see that it was a viable business, and then I felt really confident that I could grow it to where I needed to get it to.
so there's always that element of risk, and I talk about this to people all the time. And when I talk to other sort of business owners, some people are a little bit more safe, and they I think it was in the first episode. Alex was talking to me. He was reading this book about it was like a quiz, and if you answer all yes to the questions or score over a certain percent, it means you're an entrepreneur and you should like go for it and start your own business. And he it was if you scored over 94 or something, or 96, you should go for it and be an entrepreneur. And he scored like 91 or 2 or something like that. And the element where he was missing was that risk factor, taking risk. Now,
Mm.
it seems that you were quite comfortable with taking that risk, and it was more of an educated risk or educated guess. But tell us a little bit about risk taking. Are you a natural risk taker?
Uh, Yeah, look, I mean, not, I don't go jumping off, high buildings or anything like that, but I do tend to kind of get an idea and just go with it. I spend a lot of times kind of thinking things over, but not necessarily, I guess, like, writing it all down in millions of spreadsheets and all those kinds of things. I
Hmm.
kind of go with my gut, I guess, a little bit.
I think that's
Like,
good because people tend to overthink things
yeah,
or delay things. And I think the sooner you should just take action and deal with it as it comes, like take that
and
leap in.
you can't predict things. You can't predict. I couldn't predict that our first year here that the train station and the street would be closed for 2 months.
Yeah.
I couldn't predict that the bushfires were going to happen, and I definitely would
Yeah.
never have predicted that COVID was going to happen. So, you can do all the planning in the world, but it can only do so much for you in the end.
Let's talk.
Um,
I know a lot of people are interested in sort of marketing and branding. And in the last episode with Abby, we talked about the power of personal branding versus the branding of the business. Now, you coming from kind of a strong marketing background, and you talked about Incubator having no socials and very little online presence. It looks like you focused more on the branding of Incubator rather than the branding of Ellie. And I think that plays strongly into, I guess, type of business that you're in. Do you want to talk about like your thoughts on that and kind of how you developed that social media growth from zero to what you are
yeah.
now?
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't want it to be all about me. Even though I know that, I mean, it's kind of the easiest thing to do, right? Like if you're trying to put together a brand, making it that brand you like you're there every day. So if you're comfortable getting in front of the camera and talking about yourself and what you're doing, then it's really simple. I did really want, the artists to be the center of all of the marketing. And we are still doing that, although this year I have really changed our marketing quite a lot because, it's just been me and my staff at home for, we're in week 7 of our second lockdown, and we had the first one as well where we did close. So, to creating content and talking to people, we really needed to, get up and talk about ourselves and what we were doing. And I found that on our Instagram, for example, the engagement has increased drastically because I'm putting my face up there and I am talking about the business as a whole. I think each different platform has different purposes and people behave in different ways. And I think on Instagram especially, people, they go there to connect with people. They don't really go there to shop as such. They might follow brands, but it's not, we don't click off to products and things that often. We really want to hear stories, engage with people, and get to help that artist choose whether to make it blue or red, or kind of see the creative process behind. And so we've pushed our marketing a little bit more in that direction and showing a bit more of the behind the scenes of the artists rather than the end product.
What are your favorite platforms for that type of stuff? Like you speak a lot about Instagram. Do you do Facebook?
Yeah,
LinkedIn,
we've got Facebook. I don't spend enough time paying attention to our Facebook. It's on the list. I'm starting to play with Pinterest because I think Pinterest has a lot of potential for our business anyway, because we've got, I think, 3,000 products listed on our website so far. Wow. They're all unique. So that's a lot of imagery and content that, if I was just throwing that up on Instagram, it would get no traction because it's just not what that platform's for. So I'm really enjoying learning about Pinterest and how to make that work for us. I've just asked my staff to start their own little boards and start pinning all of the things that they like, and kind of having their personalities shine through the brand as well, because they do as much as I do, and people might have only met them. They might not have met me. So I think, Pinterest is a good one. LinkedIn, I don't spend a lot of time on. I should, but I don't.
Do you think that's just because it's not really applicable to the more creative space? It's more like kind of business focused. Is that LinkedIn?
Yeah, I think it's great for networking. I'm finding Facebook actually much better for being in groups. I think that's how we connected. Yeah. I've connected with quite a few people through different Facebook groups, just being able to put up a question and say, oh, hey, I'm working on this landing page for my website. What do you all think? And getting that feedback is really great, but you also get potential clients. And it's a little bit of an untapped resource, I think.
Very clever
to use.
I'm enjoying tapping your marketing brain, because I know a lot of people, listeners out there, it's an area that they do struggle with. And so sort of any advice that they're sort of eager to get. Do you run any paid advertising, or is it you mostly just organic reach?
It's been mostly organic until yesterday.
Okay.
I have run occasional ads. I just find Facebook advertising to be so time consuming. I actually just hired someone to do ads for us, literally yesterday. And I'm really excited to see how that goes, because I know how powerful it can be. But I also know that it takes hours and hours to actually sit down and tinker.
And the content though, right content.
And the content, yeah. And I think when it's your business, and especially because my business is not, we don't have a clear target audience with what we do.
It literally could be anyone. Like if you like art, knickknacks, like little bits and pieces, bags, scarves, clothing.
I generally say, if you're a good person, you will like this shop. like if you're a person who appreciates all that is good, then you will enjoy connecting with us. I thought delegate that out to someone that actually enjoys the process and really knows what they're doing. But Facebook ads can be fantastic.
Yeah, no, I'd love to touch base with you in a couple of months and ask you how the Facebook advertising worked out for you.
See if I threw all my money down the toilet.
Yeah. I think that's a good transition, because we've spoken about incubator, but we haven't really spoken about kind of, and you briefly touched on it then, what type of art or pieces or what clothing, like literally it's like anything anyone could make and then want to sell could potentially have a spot in the store. Like what type of artists do you attract, and is it just artists in the sense of I've done a painting, like it's more like people that make things? I see bags, like if you're watching the video you can see some bags
Yeah.
and it looks like a scarf and clothing, and then necklaces and paintings. It's quite a mix of,
Scopes,
yeah, like
everything. Yeah.
note, like everything. So what is, like, yeah, how would you even describe that to, I know you kind of
Yeah.
said like, oh, if you're a good person you'll like the store, but can you give us
It's
a little bit more about
yeah, we
what you
sometimes call it
have?
like a handmade wonderland,
Yeah.
or like a indoor artist market. So our core kind of business is about supporting local artists and helping them run their business. So um, the way that we run the business is that we traditionally rented out our little spots. So I'll show you later, but I've got like little cubes that artists rent and they can put their work in there, and we don't charge any commission on their sales.
Yeah, this is why I was
So,
actually really excited to talk to you. And I guess let's talk about the business model. I did see that it's 100% goes to the artist of the sales, which is very
yeah,
different to a conventional uh, space or a gallery, which generally would charge 30%, depending
yeah,
more of commission of the sale. But you wouldn't have to then, I don't think, pay for the space. Sometimes you do, it's a mix. But I really like that 100% goes back to the artist.
yeah,
So it tells, and we talked about the pivoting. So I think there's two elements here. I guess the original method of how the store operated, and you just began to touch on it there about you could rent a cube. Can you rent
yeah,
multiple cubes? Can you rent out like a
yeah.
bigger space? Can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, so we have the physical cubes, which are like 40 centimeter cubed, I guess. And then we've got shelves, clothing racks, little print shelves. We've got walls for people that are visual artists. So basically, anyone that makes things that will fit in one of the spaces is welcome, as long as they actually make the things themselves. So we're not a space for people that are like, designing clothes and then having them made in Vietnam and importing them. We're about the people that are like doing the whole thing. And the reason that we don't charge commission is because, uh, I don't poo poo the idea of actually charging commissions. It's just, it completely changes the dynamic. So we're about letting artists explore what they want to sell and taking a chance on something that might not be popular or marketable. Often they might want to try a range of jewelry that's really abstract, and a boutique wouldn't take a chance on buying that wholesale because they don't know that people will like it. Whereas with us, they can really like try and push their boundaries and try things and see what feedback they get. So, if we were charging a commission, I'd have to say, no, we can't sell that. You can't
It's
put that.
interesting that you say that. It's like, say I own the shop and then I make the decision on what I think other people might like, which is interesting. Like, I don't
Mm,
know what this guy, he might love that crazy, quirky piece of jewelry or that wacky piece of art that I think no one would like. Might be, this
yeah,
other person. It's so subjective.
yeah. But I guess if you're running a boutique, if this comes back to marketing, right? So if you're running a
Mm,
boutique
yeah.
for people that love kind of circusy
Yeah.
style
So you're
stuff,
targeting that niche and it has to fit within your niche because that's your
exactly.
targeted demographic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where yours
Whereas,
is
yeah, ours is literally like people love the experience of coming in here because they walk in and they're like, what is this place? Like, I've never seen such a weird collection of items together. It's like, some people say it's almost too overwhelming, like they don't know where to look or what to look at. And one cube could have $700 rings with like semi-precious stones like rubies and things in them, and one could be soap.
yeah.
Like it's a little bit disorienting, and it's always really fun to watch people come in and try to work out what's going on.
That sounds great. So people can rent out cubes or shelves or racks. Um, Now we talk the membership model. Is this something new, or is that something that's always been around?
Yeah, so I always wanted to split out the membership aspect of Incubator from the renting of cubes for a couple of reasons. I would like to have more shops in different locations and things, so it would kind of make it easier for people that want to be in multiple spaces. You have your membership and then you add your cube on top. But also because we do a lot more than just renting out cubes. I run marketing workshops. We have an online community where all of the makers actually connect together and can support each other. We're doing like an Instagram challenge at the moment to help them get out of their comfort zones. I'm like making them put pictures of their faces on Instagram and they're like, no. And then they come back and they're like, I'm getting great engagement. I'm so surprised.
Yeah.
So yeah, like trying to teach them the more analytical side to running a business, because they know how to make the stuff, but they don't necessarily know how to sell it.
All right, so let's just quickly differentiate. If I just had some artwork and I wanted to put it in a cube, I could just do that completely, print the cube out. Is it every week? Cost every week?
Monthly, yep.
Monthly, so I can print out a
Yep.
cube and pay monthly, and that's it. I don't need to do anything more. I can just sit back. At the
Yep, you
same time, I
can.
could potentially have the cube and this membership, or I could just have the membership if I'm an artist looking to get things out of the membership. Are they completely, they're not dependent on each other?
So everyone needs to have a membership,
Okay, so
but
if you
not
rent a
everyone needs to have
cube,
a
you have
cube.
to have a membership.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
So it was kind of our pivot. Now that we've been closed kind of 3 times, and I've got 2 shops overheads to pay and a business loan, which is just great at this time. I, was spending every month that things would change. I was like, oh, how many days are we going to open? What are we going to do? Even kind of in that in between period where we went from lockdown to open to lockdown, we didn't open full time because we knew that people weren't going to be out shopping. And I knew that I would have no clients left if I kept charging 100%. So every couple of weeks was like this struggle of what are we going to do this month? I don't know what's going to happen next week. So how can I project that? And then I didn't actually add the online store element until the 2nd of August. So once we did that, I went, oh, I can now do my membership model. Like it was almost an afterthought. I realized that I could actually create a completely new offering for people that wanted to just sell on the website.
So this has all just happened very recently, the membership model.
Yeah.
So maybe even 6 months ago, I could just rent out a cube and there was no membership or benefits that came with the membership. This completely new thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
The benefits were there, but
you'd
they
be
weren't
getting
written
the
down.
benefits, but yeah. So I guess you kind of touched on it a little bit. What are the benefits of the membership? Like, what do I get out of that as an artist?
Yeah, so you get access to the online community, which is like a closed, it's a little app that we've got. And we do like a monthly marketing focus, and we try to kind of teach you how to do a specific part of marketing in that month. And you also can communicate with all the other artists in there as well. We do all the workshops. So I do 1 to 2 workshops a week. They're like little mini workshops on like how to do Instagram stories or how to use Reels or how to set up a Facebook ad or how to do email marketing, for example. And then you also get to list items on the online store. So you can actually list your products in the online store, and it's kind of like you've heard of Etsy, I'm sure. Yeah. So it's kind of like Etsy, I guess, but it's actually all handmade in Australia, and we do all the shipping. So they actually send us their box of bits and pieces, and we combine the packages and send them off to the customers. So it's almost like a drop shipping model, but craft. Because
this is genius.
Yeah, it's look, it's really fun.
Had
It's
you
really
thought
nice
about
seeing
this before? Like, how did you come up with the idea for this membership model? Or were you thinking about trying to implement it and the COVID was like, look, I have to just go for this thing? Or was it inspired because of COVID?
A bit of both. It was mostly a matter of time because we couldn't just put together an online store. It's not that simple. We've got 6,000 unique items. They're all made differently. They're all made of different things. They're all completely different price points. So I needed to actually develop basically a multi-vendor marketplace So like an eBay kind of Etsy kind of model where the artists actually log in and list all of their products, and then we just handle the marketing of those products. And it was really the only way that we could get online, because it just was not. We've had an online store before, and it was just a nightmare. Things would sell, but then they wouldn't be in the shop. The maker had taken it home. Our systems weren't talking to each other. So yeah, it was because I do like doing web development and design and stuff. It was a matter of having months at home
So
to work on the system.
did you came up with the system yourself?
I've done
all yourself. Did you have any external help?
No, it's just a bunch of different plugins and things.
That's incredible.
I'm that kind of thinker. So
is it based on like a WordPress website and then just tons of plugins and things into it?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, and a lot of CSS changes, and
I couldn't
going
even
into
imagine
the templates and getting rid of things that are weird.
Yeah, especially something so custom where you have a membership and a login and people can list things is a lot more complex than just say setting up a Shopify store with products.
Yeah.
This is like a whole, and I suppose you need the membership to then access the store and be able to log in and list items, and then they have to ship the items, and then you manage the shipping and the logistics. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think there are a lot of business owners out there that have been impacted by COVID, and they're just sitting around thinking, oh, look, there's nothing more I can do. This is it, like COVID's stopping me. Where I think if you really put your mind to it and think outside the box and, how can I, say I run a cafe or I sell sweets or something, and now I'm closed because of COVID. I sell boutique little sweets and invention. The doors are closed, no one's coming in. Well, there's nothing I can do, right? I can't do anything COVID. Not true. Like you could think, you could work on your website, you could come up with recipes, you could do behind the scenes stuff and build your social media. You could also look at doing a membership model or hosting an online event every week or every couple of weeks where you host a live cooking class and walk through how to make this crazy unique dessert or something. And I think you could apply that to so many businesses out there. And and you've probably seen the comments as well on some of these Facebook groups where people are like, oh, COVID, I can't do anything. Oh, I can't do it. I think there's always, if it's, making a better website, working on your socials, coming up with content for your advertising for your business so you can hit the ground running once you are open again, looking at alternatives and how you could engage with your audience and the membership model that you created and hosting events. There's so much you can do. And that's why I'm really happy that you're on today to try and inspire some of those other business owners out there that think because of COVID and their doors closed physically, they can't do anything and that's the end of their business.
I've seen a lot of, people trying to completely pivot to something completely different. And I think that's not really the place you want to go. You want to look at what you're already doing and go, how can I make this COVID proof? Like, what bit of this model that worked before does not work now? And how can I change that one bit? Like we could have started doing online workshops or personal shopping or like there's so many things that we could have pivoted to. I could have just made myself like a marketing entrepreneur, being like, I can teach you how to run your business. Like buy my course, it's $2.99. But that's not what we're about. We're about selling craft. And so like it took me 6 months to actually do our pivot right. But it's now a sustainable element, a sustainable part of my business that I can continue. Whereas I think, quite a few people are just trying to get through to the end of COVID,
and then go back to normal, whatever they were doing.
And
before.
What is that? Yeah, like people will have changed by then. The way that we do things has already changed. So it's about adapting to the new way that people want to do things.
And it sounds like it's going well then, this new model and membership and engaging with the audience and stuff. How's the feedback been from the artists?
It's so nice. I think my community Probably around half of our makers are pretty quiet. They're introverts, they don't check their emails, they don't check anything. They're just like in their little,
Yeah.
they're like, I'll come out when it's over, which is fine. Sometimes I had a call from one of them the other day. She's like, I'm so sorry, I haven't spoken to you since February. Are you okay? I was like, it's fine, honestly, just you do your thing. But the other half are so much more connected now. They're on social media going, I love my Cube family, and getting like I mentioned, we're doing our little monthly challenges for them, and I'm getting really good feedback from that. You're pushing me to do things that I wouldn't have done before. And a really nice side effect has been that they're willing to do things online now, because a lot of makers don't want to do things on the internet. That's why they make. They
The
like the
physical
analog.
space.
Yeah, so we did run our workshops, for example, previously, but it was physical. They had to come here and sit around the table. They wouldn't have done a Zoom before. So like there's some nice things that have kind of come from
How have the
this.
online sales from the store been doing?
So the first month we did a normal month's sales.
That you would have
like
just done in the store?
pre-COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
So that was great. It's a bit quieter this month, although the marketer I was talking to yesterday, who's doing our Facebook ads, said that September is, online is quiet across the board. He said all of his client sales are down this month anyway. They're not terrible, but it definitely is quieter. It's more than I thought it would be.
Is this exciting for when you are able to open up again, to have now the combination of the physical stores and the online stores? Theoretically, this should be quite exciting from at least a revenue perspective, and for the artists as well. They should be able to make, I'm not going to guess, but more. So I'm not going to give a percent, but more sales, right? Because you have both the stores, people walking in, you got the online sales. It seems like there's a lot of room for growth here.
Yeah, I think people will, our customers anyway, I think will always come and shop here. They'll still come in because
nothing beats
experience.
especially a store like this. You could easily spend half an hour, 45 minutes just looking at every little, and actually be able to feel it in your hand. Like nothing will ever be able to replace that.
But it's really great having the online, because it's quite difficult to come in here if you're looking for a key ring.
Yeah, like if you're looking for a specific thing, like, I'd like a new necklace. Or I think that's like, what am I going to get? And then it's like when you go shopping and you're like, I just need bread and milk. And then you walk away with like 50 other items. I imagine your store will be like, I want to look at a necklace, but then you end up buying like this bag and this scarf and this painting.
Yeah. But it's also having the online store is really great because it has that filtering. So everything in here is broken up by artist, whereas the online store, we do have it also broken up by artist, but you can shop for earrings and you can filter that down to the type of earrings you want, which is really good if you're looking for a gift. If you're looking for a ring and you know that you need a size P, you can shop for all of the rings that are size P instead of coming in and putting like 50 different rings on your fingers. Just one fits.
Yeah, because you sort it by artist, and like this artist must have rings, this artist might have rings, and you got to go to all the artist cubes to find all the rings rather than just having rings.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the cubes will kind of change a little bit once we reopen and adjust to the new normal, because I'll be pushing the artists to really start to think about their branding. So rather than having a cube full of stuff, one cube full of 50 pieces of jewelry, which is quite intense for a person to look at, just having 10 showpieces and really focusing on making a diorama basically.
Yeah, and then you could have, if you want to see more, and have the link to the online space where you could view the whole collection and things like that.
Yeah, have a little QR code in there or something like that.
Yeah,
so I'm really excited to kind of looking at it more as experiential marketing, and people being able to just quickly be like, that cube is about the ocean, and that cube is about color, and that cube is about cute little polymer clay food earrings, rather than being like, there's 2,000 pieces of jewelry in front of me and I don't know where to look.
This is all very exciting. So you currently have 2 stores. Do you kind of just stick to looking after one store, or are you kind of between the two? How do you manage both stores?
So I was doing a a couple of days in the newer store and 1 day a week in the older store, because that one kind of manages itself. Whereas the newer store, I felt like I needed to build relationships with the community. Also, it's easier to work here because it's not quite as hectic as Smith Street with the trams going past.
You
and
say new
things.
store. How long has the new store been around?
We opened in February last year, February
Okay, yep.
2019. So, we're still building up that customer base and everything. But at the same time, I'm so glad to have opened a store in this community, which is the Chapel Precinct. So we're in Paran. Because the business association here is amazing. They're really looking out for their businesses. They're doing everything they can. They've got an awesome website, awesome socials. They do marketing campaigns every month that you can put your hand up for. And, like, are you doing click and collect? Let us know. And then we can kind of list things with them, kind of what I do for the artists. So I feel very supported here. Whereas in Fitzroy, we don't have any of that side of things. And it makes a big difference when you're a business owner and trying to kind of work out what to do and feeling really alone. And I find a lot of business owners are kind of scared to network with each other. Like they see other shops as competition rather than
help
kind of
or advice or
colleagues.
reach them out and how do you get over this thing?
Yeah. Like I go up to Buzz Business and I'm like, we should do a combined thing. Like, you can put
well,
this
yours
thing on
is a
your
very
newsletter.
unique business. Like, I don't imagine you have too much competition in sort of that space.
Yeah,
So
I guess
I don't
so.
feel like a
Yeah,
lot of
they're not
people
used
feel
to it.
threatened by you.
Yeah, well, also it's all, it's just out of the ordinary for someone to come in and talk to you like that. But I'm a bit
True.
older, so yeah.
Do you enjoy that growth then, of that challenge of, okay, I got a new store and a new location, I got to build this thing from the ground up? It's very like exciting for you.
Yeah, look, it's probably that risk thing again. I just rented the first shop that felt right. I looked at one other one, it was too expensive and too big and too much work. And then I looked at this one and I was like, we're taking it. Let's do it. And
I'm going to make it work no matter what.
Signed the lease and then did the business plan, like.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Like, if you're in the position, why not? Like, just make it. And that's the thing. Like, there's no such thing as the perfect store or the perfect size. There's probably a perfect price point, but you got to, like, you can just be like, right, I got this thing and I'm going to do everything I can to make it work. And then it's that mindset. Half the time, even more than half the time, is having that mindset of, I'm going to make this work no matter what. And it works. But people, they doubt themselves. They're like, oh, this will never work. This is a bad location. I'm not getting enough foot traffic. The store's too small. Like, they put so much doubt in their head that they will themselves to failure. Like, you've got to be the other way. You got to believe in yourself, believe in the store, and just make it work. And I love that attitude coming from you, that you are just like, yep, I rented this one. I'm going to make it work no matter what.
Yeah.
It's great.
It was really terrible, actually. I signed the lease and then, like a week before, I developed this like rash, this hives rash, and everyone was like, oh, you're just stressed. Like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. And I was so sick for the first year. Like, for 10 months, I was just like, I was a mess. And I was like, what have I done? Oh, this is terrible. But, just kept doing the things, just kept coming in and doing the things because, like, what can you do? Like, you've got to make it work. And I think unless you take those risks, you can't actually know that you have the power in you to make it work because you've never really tried.
Yeah, push yourself to the limit. And that's the thing that I was talking to someone else about. Like, some of the most successful people are the people that have been pushed up against that wall, and it's like, it's make it or break it. And the ones that make it are the most successful. The people with the safety nets, or like, oh, if this fails, I'll just go do this other thing, or, I got this as a backup. They don't tend to give it their all because they don't have to. And they're always like, well, I got this other thing that I can fall back on. But if like, I have to make this, like, then you just make it work. So, I derailed there thinking about that. I was going to talk about the artists for the second store. Was it having to get more new, fresh artists to fill that second store, or was it a lot of your current artists just allowing them to rent out more spaces and get more of their work across two locations?
Yeah, so basically I tested the concept, and I had around 100 90 or 100 makers in Fitzroy, and I, contacted them all individually, personally, and said, hey, I'm thinking about opening this other shop. Would you be interested in having a cube there? And if so, would you be willing to pay for 6 months up front? And I will give you an extra 2 months as a thank you, because the first 2 months were obviously going to be a bit crap anyway.
Yeah.
And I had, I think, 30 or 40 say, yep, absolutely, I want to do that. So that gave me the cash flow to actually, pay the bond and buy all the cubes, because they're bloody expensive little things for just bits of, tempered glass. You wouldn't believe it. So yeah, that gave me that injection of cash flow, and also meant that on our first day that it would be, colourful and bright. And then I did some recruiting as well. So I tend to have always done our approaches to new artists personally, rather than doing it through advertisements. It's more finding people on Instagram and saying, hey, I like what you do, just introducing myself, like that networking aspect. And it went up and down, obviously, but we've got a happy balance now.
That was going to be my next question. How do you find new artists? But you actually spend hours, I assume, just going through Instagram and looking at local Melbourne artists. You wouldn't even need to be local to Melbourne, could you? Could I be in Sydney and ship my pieces, or does it work better if I am kind of local and you're more about supporting local Melbourne artists?
Yeah, we do have some interstate artists, and we will have more now with the online element, definitely. But a big part of the physical cubes
Stores.
is about coming and tending to the cube.
Supporting
it's your
local.
little shop. Yeah, and also for them to have somewhere to come and, they stock
pieces.
their own cubes. Yeah, they decorate them. They put all the props in. They have control over their cubes. So it's like their little space. So I tend to do twice a year. I'll do a call out on social media, and I'll contact people and ask them to rent cubes. But the rest of the time, it's mostly through referrals.
So you're mostly full now? Are you at capacity?
We were getting there. Obviously, well, COVID, it's been
some people pulled out
months
their cubes.
Yeah, because a lot of them, they work hospitality jobs or retail jobs, and they, didn't have the money to pay for it. So that was another nice thing about the online memberships, is that we can welcome some of those people back, and it's only $59 a month, so it's not a big commitment, but they can still come back to the community and sell with us in the online space, and when they're ready, the cubes will be there for them. So whereas before it was like, bye.
Yeah. So once we get back to sort of business and your cubes all fill up again, is that kind of how you operate? Like, all our physical cubes are full, but you can join the online membership and sell through the online portal, and then go on kind of like a wait list, and then if a cube becomes available, we'll offer it to you. Is that the plan?
Yeah. So they're kind of filling up now in preparation for reopening, because it'll be November, December. And then I'm going to do just a quarterly availability. So before we did a monthly intake, whereas I'm going to move to a quarterly intake and focus on the online side of things, because it's for a control freak, it's a little bit easier to manage everything when it's online. Or for me anyway, I can make sure that everyone's being represented properly. I can quickly see what they've got on stock, and I can say, you need more earrings, you need more of this other thing, you'll sell more if you improve these pictures. Whereas in the shop, it's a little bit more difficult, because you're dealing with if it's raining, people don't come in. If it's too hot, people don't come in. If there's a market on somewhere, people don't come in. And then it's Monday and you're packed. You can't anticipate what's going to happen. So yeah, the cubes are going to be a little bit more limited, to the point where I'm actually thinking of getting rid of some and having a little bit more exclusive.
Yeah, okay.
So there's a bit more space.
And do you think about, when you say the quarterly intake thing, would you potentially then move from paying monthly to a minimum of a quarter you need to have the cube space rented, things like that, so you have a bit more consistency?
We tended to have that anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was a 3-month minimum, because in retail you need to give people time to decide to purchase. They tend to
Yeah,
think
it
about
might be on
things.
like the second or the third visit that they walk past that item that they go, oh yeah, it's grown on me. I will take it.
Well, that's how advertising works,
Yeah,
right? Like we don't buy things from the first advertisement we see. We buy, I think it's 10 or 12. I can't remember what the number is, but it takes quite a few hits of an advertisement before someone actually, you know,
yeah,
goes
absolutely.
from, you've got to recognize it and then want it. You
Yeah,
tend to not want
yeah,
it.
agree completely. So let's say we go back to normal. You got the membership, you got the on-site, things are going well. The cubes are becoming more exclusive. It's looking great. Do you have plans to expand? This might sound crazy, but a third store maybe in the next couple of years, or yeah, where do you see the future of Incubator? Is it more stores? Is it more going online and more exclusive? Like, have you given this much thought?
Yeah, I have. I don't know about having more long-term leases because I feel like, COVID is here to stay for a while. And I guess, the world is getting a little bit more unstable in many ways. So I'm not sure about signing like 3 5-year leases, but I'm more thinking about like contacting councils and asking for spaces and doing pop-ups, maybe doing events and things like that instead. I, would quite like to move somewhere warmer one day. So
Like
um,
North? Are we talking like Queensland? Like how warm are
yeah,
we
yeah,
talking?
not too warm. I won't give away the exact location, but
Mm,
so I guess having your own business is all about working out what your goals and dreams are, and then how to get to that, right? Like, you want to move to Switzerland, you can do that, but you got to make your business, work in that direction for you. So yeah, maybe pop-ups and working more with local councils and getting their help to engage their creative communities. I think a lot of people have turned to craft throughout this period, especially, and have lost work and are probably going, could I do something with this? And if the councils are there saying, hey, we'll sponsor you to have a retail presence for 3 months, then it's win-win for everyone. So yeah, kind of more thinking on the networking side of things,
that
I
sounds
guess.
great and very exciting going into the future for you. Before, like, we will get just a really quick tour of the store. We'll do that right at the end, just in case
Mhm.
people are just listening to the
Yeah,
podcast.
it's not super tidy because
Don't
we
you don't
have
have to show
moved.
us everything. Just show us like I'd like to see before we do it. I'd like to see just maybe the cubes in the glass, the
Yeah,
cubes, and then we'll
yeah.
leave it at that. But before we do that, um, I normally ask people sort of what advice would you give to people sort of starting out in business and stuff like that. We've had a few tips in the past, but I think more importantly for you at least, I guess we won't go into some more general advice because we touched on a lot of that and we touched a lot of marketing, but maybe just summarize once again about what advice would you give to businesses that are currently stagnating or they feel like, well, there's nothing I can do because of COVID, that's it. And then they just like stay at home and literally don't do anything for their business because of COVID. Well,
Yeah.
what advice would you give to those business owners out there?
Um, Maybe look at the easiest thing that you could do and try it. Just see what happens. I know that the marketing part is the hardest part. It doesn't come natural to people. And people don't think to, like, share with their Facebook friends and say, hey, what do you think about this idea? Or could you share this post and see what your friends think of this? And like maybe just going into the different business groups and things on Facebook, and I'm sure Reddit has them as well, whatever your platform is. And just being analytical about it, watching what people are doing. You don't necessarily have to be asking, I have a cupcake business and I don't know how to survive, or the cupcake businesses are probably doing okay. But just looking at everyone's pivots and the different things they're doing and going, would that work for me? And how could I make that mine? Yeah, rather than just copying what other people are doing. But I think there's opportunities for everyone there. You've just got to kind of sit back and try not to feel sorry for yourself, which we've all done during
Yeah.
this. I spent quite a few weeks just being like, oh, what's the point? But notice when you're doing well one day. You know, some days you wake up and you're like, it's a beautiful day, I'm feeling good, I'm going to go for a walk and think about what I can do to improve my business and my life, rather than doing the same old thing over again. It's a bit of a ramble, sorry.
No, we love rambles, especially on a podcast. If say, I guess there's kind of two sides to this. If I'm looking to buy some art or some knickknacks, what's the best way to sort of get onto you? Is it through the website? And then secondly, if I'm an artist looking to maybe become a member of the program or looking to rent out a cube, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Yep. So if you would like to shop, we would love to have you. So there's, I think I said before, around 3,000 handmade items online. It's all really affordable because, you know, as much as I tell the artists they should charge more, they tend to undervalue themselves, so you can get some good bargains. So you can do that on the website, which is in.cube8r.com.au. You'll put the spelling up for people, I'm sure.
I'll put a link to the website.
Yeah, it's spelt a bit interestingly. And if you're interested to join or find out more, there's a little join button up in the menu. So just check that out, and feel free to send me a message, and we can arrange a little 15-minute Zoom if you've got any questions, because I know that interpreting a whole page of information can be a little bit much for creative types. So I'm happy to jump on the phone and discuss.
There you go. And I'll put all the links underneath the podcast for the socials and the website that for you if you are interested in checking out In.Cube8r or an artist looking to advertise your wares both in-store and online. Ellie, thank you so much for your time. It's been absolutely delightful talking to you, and your positive outlook and bubbly personality has been great. I look forward to talking to you more in the future about how things are going. And yeah, I guess now this is the part where the people that are just listening to the podcast, you get to miss out a little bit here, because Ellie's going to give us a quick tour of some of the cubes.
Okay,
yeah, give us a look. But
so it is a mess because, you know, we're not open, but so I actually just have
look at that
little card wall, and then we've got like these little gorgeous little creatures.
That's so cool.
Teeny tiny, and then these are the cubes,
the infamous cubes.
Yeah, so
the very expensive cubes.
Yes, I mean, like, they're not that much, right? But when you need 50 of them, and they're you know, they come to $12 each or something, it all adds up. So yeah, we've got lots of different stuff, and it's really fun because each cube is decorated in a different way. So I've actually taken quite a lot of stock over to our Fitzroy shop, so it's a little bit empty, but yeah, those are the cubes. We've got, you know, art, we've got the candles, clothing, everything.
That is incredible. And if you are listening, make sure you jump on to YouTube, where you can see the video BizUp podcast on YouTube, and you can have a look around the store. I'll probably post up a clip of this on social as well, just for those that are missing out and just listening to the audio, that you can just jump on and have a quick look at the store. Definitely worth your while if you hadn't seen anything like this before, and the type of knickknacks that they sell. That's a cool piece. Definitely check that one out.
Sky's work is awesome. Yeah.
Oh, is that, and there's some eggs there? Painting of eggs? Fried eggs up the top?
Yeah. That's Georgia. She is hilarious. You know, it's really nice seeing what people make and getting to know them.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that. It seems like it's not just the art that, you know, oh, yeah, this is a picture of some eggs. You actually know probably all of the artists that exhibit and have a really good working relationship with them as well.
Yeah, definitely. So yes.
Well, there you have it. Ellie, thank you so much once again. And look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Yeah, thanks for getting me out of the house today. See you later.